Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. So in this video we are going to be making a decorative coal rake. Now this is going to be a little bit different than what you've seen in maybe some standard coal rakes, but it will still be handy nonetheless. Might be worth you making if you like that sort of thing. So first off, real quick, we'll be using spline stock for the handle. Now I've already made a handle on one end of this spline stock that I'm going to cut off. If you want to see the video where I did this operation already, this decorative bit, you'll want to take and watch the video on out-of-the-box forging with spline stock. So I will leave a link to that somewhere in the cards and down in the description down below. So be sure to check out that video, maybe even after you watch this one, if you want to know how this handle was made. So I will get this cut off before I come back with you, and we will be ready to take this through its first steps. Now the other portion of this material is a piece of 1/8 inch by 1 inch flat bar stock. So that's roughly 4 mil, or say 3.5 millimeters by 25 millimeters. So again, that's 1/8 inch by 1 flat bar stock. And for a measurement, make it as long as you need. It doesn't have to be any specific length, but I find about around 12 inches or so, 12 to 14 inches will do really nicely for this project. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get this handle cut off and we'll jump right into this project. Okay, so starting with this piece of 1/8 inch by 1, we're going to go ahead and start putting a little bit of a taper on the end of this piece. Since this is really thin material, you're going to want to keep the hammer moving quite rapidly, and you're really focusing on quicker, snappier blows and less big thumpy type blows. And we're only going to put on a taper from one side of this. So you blade makers out there ought to be fairly familiar with this process, or at least I would hope you would be. So there we go. We're going to just keep hammering that right on down. This is thin material, so it doesn't take long for it to heat back up. Keep that in mind. So again, the material I'm using here is 1/8 inch by 1 inch flat stock, or 3 mil, 3.5 mil-ish by 25 mil. Might as well just start saying ish every time. So we're going to get that good and hot. Out we go. We're going to continue to hammer that right on down. And then we'll dress it up here nicely at the same thickness as the parent bar stock. All right, and there you go. That's all we need for the dressing of that end. Next part, we'll bend this over. Okay, so here we go. So the secret in this is you want to have a nice long sweeping hook on this piece, and you want it to take and come back at yourself. We're going to go ahead and flex that back the opposite direction. You want this piece to come all the way around and really kind of focus right back at yourself, just like so. There we go. We'll go ahead and brush this now. You get in there. It's not overly critical that you do. There you have it. So now we've got this nice broad rake with a little bit of a poker end on the end. So that's good there. That's what we want. So the next step is to decide how long you want this to be, taking into consideration that you will be adding your handle to this. So we do want to have a fairly long piece. So I'm going to set that where it be about comfortable. And that looks about right, right about there. So yeah, So somewhere about in here is where we're going to cut the piece off. So I'm going to use the edge of my anvil to just mark that area. Okay, so I've got that area marked. Now we'll put it back in the fire, heat this up, and we'll cut it off right there. Okay, got this piece decently hot. I'm going to aim for that area. Just go ahead and cut it. Mark it on both sides a little bit. And right on through we go. Very nice. Drop that down out of the way. Get the hammer out of the way. So now what I want to do is I want to heat this back up and round off that end. So we'll get it back here in the fire and get that very end very, very hot. Also, you can see I've switched to a pair of bolt jaw tongs. That is so this way I can get into where I need it to be. I've switched to bolt jaw tongs so this way I can grip around that 1-inch flat stock that comes up through here in order to be able to grip it on edge to still make it handle holding this material a lot better. All right, nice and hot. Come over here to the horn of the anvil, dress out the flats on that. Really, we're just wanting this to have a nice radius to it. So whatever you can do to dress that up nicely. You can do this with a file or a grinder, or if you just take a few moments with the hand hammer, you can dress that up nice. Make it as perfect as you'd like. There we go. So now the next step after you do that, now we're going to work on this portion of the handle, which is, the actual part that you're going to hold on to, while the rest of this becomes the rake for the coal forge. So we need to work on this end right here. So let's do that in the next heat. Okie doke, for this stock, we're going to just take and draw down a taper, a really short taper, if we can, right here on the horn. Doesn't have to be super sharp. Then we're going to come to the near side, keeping it in line with our stock, and we're going to forge down it completely flat. We're going to get a leaf-like shape, so let me heat that one more time. Bright and hot. Once it's this small, you have to realize it doesn't take long for this to heat up. I'm going to dress my end a little bit, make it a little more uniform. We're not really going for a leaf shape. If that's what we end up with, that's okay. We can enhance that by going over the horn if you want. Just really, it's your own personal preference. So the purpose of doing it like this is now when we add our hook portion, now that we add our hook portion, now we have a nice recess for that to go into. So hopefully you guys see how that fits up there nicely. So just like so. Okay, so I went ahead and went through the process of drilling these holes, laying them out, marking them, and drilling them. I get this question a lot. You might be asking yourself, well, why didn't you just punch them, Roy? Well, you can punch them, but as I've answered in other times prior, drilling is a lot more accurate in order to do rivet work. Otherwise, you have to punch small and then ream big, or to final size if you're going to get an accurate dimension for your punched and riveted hole. So you can do what you'd like, your results will vary. But I went ahead and started with this piece first, got it laid out and drilled, both holes, and then I put that on top, drilled one hole, put the pin in it, and then drilled the other hole. Hopefully that'll catch you up to date there. So now the next process is we actually have to rivet this handle onto the piece here. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to start with our front rivet piece. We'll slip that through the hole, and I'm going to put the front one there through. Hopefully you all can see that okay. I'm going to work that in there. It's a snug fit, which is good. That's what we're wanting. I'm going to get that piece through the hole. And then the secondary piece, we're going to get that through the hole, back up the shank a little bit closer there. So now all of that is nice and tight together. Now this is going to take a little bit on the finesse side of things because you're going to have to just tap these to start them to upset. They're not going to want to do that at first. So you're just going to have to upset them ever so lightly to start them upsetting. Flip it over and work the back side. You might also have to give this a little bit of a straighten after you're all said and done. But now we can start working each rivet a little bit separately. You can see that's drawing that right down on nice and tight. You want a good, nice, straight thing going on here. I accidentally made a little flub up there and I got a flat start on there because my hammer bounced over. So be careful not to do that. Hammer both those straight down. We'll go over the horn here. Take a better single out. The rivets I'm wanting to rivet down. And there we have it. So that's as far as we need to go with that. That is tight, as tight as can be. You might have to do some flexing on it and stuff to get it straightened out the way you'd like it. But there you have it, just like so. Now your only mission here is to test to see how it works. So let's go over to the fire and see how this thing works. So as you can see, works pretty darn good. I might reduce the sweep of this just a slight bit for my own personal liking. That's what I would do. But as you can see, it really rakes the fire out pretty good. You do quite a bit with this. So it serves its function, which there wouldn't be a point in making it unless it had a function. So there we go. It's very nice. Okie doke. So there you have it, folks. As you can see, didn't take incredibly long to make. Of course, you could do all sorts of different types of rakes with this in. You wouldn't necessarily have to do a decorative in like I've done here. But if you're going to have some nice tools in your shop and maybe look a little bit more impressive at maybe a show that you maybe go to, and you're showing off your skills and stuff like that as a blacksmith to try to sell ironwork and stuff, sometimes it's nice to be able to have something like this to illustrate the skills that you have as a blacksmith. So again, it's just kind of a neat thing. You never know when someone at a fair might be like, man, I really like the look of that handle. Could you do that on a fire poker? And you say, well, why yes. Yes, I could do that on a fire poker. And I might end you up with some custom commission works and things like that. So next big thing, if you've made it this far in the video, I think I'll tell you, it is my intention to go ahead and give this away at one of our live streams that we do here on the channel. So you'll want to take and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, and set it for all notifications if you want to get in on that. We do live streams basically bi-monthly. So we do one at the beginning of the month and one about middle of the month. Live streams usually. So they're every 2 weeks we do a live stream, and when we do them, we usually give away a ton of good beginner tools and blacksmithing tools and things like that. So we do invite you to come, hang out at the live streams, join, be part of the Blacksmith family here on YouTube and the blacksmithing community, and hopefully, who knows, maybe we'll see you there and you could be the lucky winner of this little coal rake here. So that's it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Hit that like and all that jazz. And drop your comments down in the comment section down below. God bless. We'll catch you on the next one.